What's up, movie losers? Lindsey here, back for another review for the Mos Eisley Happy Hour. So tonight, we're going to be going over Bloodline by Claudia Gray. So this book is kind of our introduction to The Force Awakens, and it's set 23 years or so after Return of the Jedi, putting it about 7 years before The Force Awakens. So it answers a good amount of questions in terms of what these characters have been up to, how certain things got started, but it really raises a lot more questions than it does answer. So we're gonna go take a dive into all of them. So for starters, just plot-wise, this is a lot going on in this book. Sometimes it feels a little rushed, but there are a ton of new characters, new organizations, just a lot of stuff going on in this book. So I'm going to try and make this plot review streamlined as possible, giving you exactly what you need to know, not only because I don't want to give away too many spoilers, but there's just no way we'd have time to go into every single scene and every detail. So like I said, it's 23 years after Return of the Jedi, and we start to follow Leia as a senator. So she's become this really prominent, really well-respected senator in the New Republic. We never find out what the planet is. It's obviously not Alderaan. But regardless, she makes this great name for herself. So she decides it's time to retire. She's really fed up with the gridlock in the Senate between the two parties. One party thinks that individual planets should have more control and more power, whereas the other party thinks that the federal system is the best way to go and where the power should lie. Leia, obviously having fought the Empire, is one of those senators who thinks planets need their own power system, and they should be the ones more in control. But regardless, Leia's fed up with all the gridlock. She decides to retire. So before she does, these Twi'leks come out and say that they need help defending themselves against this criminal gang organization. And Leia decides she can help them fight this crime cartel and make things a little more interesting, because this is her chance now. This is, the rebel soldier in her. She gets to go out on another mission. So she's really excited about this. But one of the senators from the other party volunteers to join her. And that's the only way this mission will be approved, is if they both go. So Leia starts to work with this guy, Ransom Casterfo. And he's this young guy starting to gain a lot more prestige in the Senate, quick rise to power, but she starts to meet with him and realizes, as young of a guy as he is, he in a way worships the Empire that she helped destroy. He goes on to say it's not that he agrees with Palpatine by any means, it's not that he thought that was the greatest system. He just agrees with the thought that you need one good, strong leader. So obviously there's a lot of points of contention between the two of them. But he collects all this memorabilia and these different, stormtrooper helmets, and he's after the outfits that the Imperial Guards wear. But regardless, him and Leia just don't hit it off right away. So, the two of them butt heads, but they have to go out on this mission to uncover who this criminal syndicate group is that's kind of causing mayhem for these different planets. So Leia heads off with him. They're on a mission, and Leia notices this woman watching them the whole time. And eventually, she's kidnapped. Leia is kidnapped and taken right to the crime cartel that they're investigating. Casterfo comes in, he rescues her, And after that mission, Leia and Casterfo start to develop more trust for each other. So they go back, they report to the Senate what they found out, and instead of backing them up, the Senate just keeps fighting over what to do. This when someone in the Senate makes this motion to reorganize the system and give one person more power. So Leia then agrees to not retire right away, and she is going to actually try and be that person, that first senator. Not because she necessarily wants power, she just doesn't want someone who doesn't deserve it to have it. So Leia puts her plans on hold. And now she is running for president of the galaxy. As she's investigating things, she finds that this cartel is working with a group called the Amaxine Warriors. So Leia now believes that the other political party is actually backing this crime cartel and this militia. Not long after Leia discovers all this, the Senate is actually bombed. So luckily no one is hurt, but both of the political parties actually start to blame each other for the bombing. They agree that no one in the Senate was involved, and it's actually the crime cartel that they're investigating who bombed them. So they continue their investigation, and it's now revealed to the entire Senate, and therefore the entire galaxy, that Darth Vader was Princess Leia's father. So that's new news for everyone. So now Leia has to deal with all this backlash because people hate her and Luke, they don't trust her, but she's actually more worried about her son. So at this point, Ben Solo, still good little Ben Solo, is off with Luke, and he didn't know that Darth Vader was his grandfather. So Leia is really worried about how he took the news and how he's handling it, but she has no way to get in touch with him. She doesn't know where him and Luke are. So we now still don't know what it was like for Ben when he found out Darth Vader was his grandfather. Obviously, he's okay with it by the time we meet him in Force Awakens. More importantly, though, this is where we start to see the First Order is actually coming out and about and becoming a force to be reckoned with. And Leia starts to realize that there is another threat out there. So she's actually now, by the end of this, has started the Resistance and started gathering some pilots for that. So key takeaways here. I thought it was really interesting to see that even 2 decades later, the galaxy is still putting itself back together from that Civil War. So there's this really deep political divide that seems to put everything right on the verge of just total self-destruction. At this point, too, it's interesting to find out that Luke and Ben were already on some kind of secret mission together. And we get to see more of Leia and Han's relationship and how there started to be some little divides and some strains there. So it is more believable that by the time we see them again in Force Awakens, they're separated. So for us as the audience, it was always the Empire is bad, everyone knows it, they're destroyed, that's it. But now we get to see why some people like the Empire, and some people like the idea and might want to bring it back, and how the First Order came back into play, not just in terms of funding and in terms of recruitment, but why people might have wanted the First Order in the first place. This character, Greer Sonnell, so she is Leia's pilot and actually started working with Han Solo first. He saw her as his protege, so obviously Han has a very strange relationship with his son, but he's able to find this young girl, take her on as his surrogate kid. Him and Leia love her like another kid. So she ends up working for Leia, and she's extremely devoted to Han and Leia, and she becomes a key player in this investigation, helping out any way she can. But she's one of the founding members of the Resistance. So the other one is Lady, I don't know how to pronounce this name, Lady Karras, I think, Karras. But she is another one of Leia's political opponents, and she plays this crucial role in exposing the fact that Darth Vader is the father. By the end of this, we find out is working with the First Order, but remains this hidden member. So she's gaining a lot of power, gaining a lot of credibility, gaining new titles. No one knows that she's working with this secret organization, the First Order. The other one is Joff Seastriker, and he is another pilot working with the investigation and another founding member of the Resistance. What story do you tell people to get them on your side and to back you up? On the flip side, how does public perception of you change who you are? So when the galaxy finds out about Darth Vader being Leia's father, how does that change things for Leia, and how will that eventually change things for Luke? So what this ties into, obviously The Force Awakens, this is setting up a lot of things for The Force Awakens, so there are direct tie-ins in terms of characters and planets and stories. And then just some subtle callbacks to the original trilogy and to the Clone Wars TV show. Now we see the First Order in the shadows and lurking around. So how did the First Order go from this top secret organization to being able to destroy 5 planets in just 7 years? So that's obviously a quick rise. And then one of the big questions for me, what were Luke and Ben doing? So we know the whole time Luke and Ben are out on some adventure, out on some mission that we don't know about. What were they doing the whole time? So my rating for this, I would put at maybe 4 out of 5. So great book, really interesting story, good new characters. My biggest gripe with it was it felt like too much going on. So there were some things that to me felt very rushed through. I think I would have preferred maybe 2 or 3 books instead of just one, just because it is so many new things to keep track of. And that also would have let us spend a little bit more time with Leia in certain relationships instead of just this story, nothing else. There were also some characters I didn't really feel had to be there. For example, Corcella. Don't think she was necessarily essential. I think if you cut her, you can spend more time developing other plot points or developing other characters. But 4 out of 5, I recommend checking it out. There's a lot here that you can check out in my article below in case you missed it. And that just sets you up, gives you all the information from all the books, all the TV shows, all the comic books that you might need for The Last Jedi. Because, of course, I think this is going to tie in pretty heavily to The Last Jedi, just like it did The Force Awakens. So check this out if you can. Like this video, subscribe to the channel. We have a lot more reviews coming. If there's anything else you want to see, any questions you have, put it in the comments, and we'll make sure that we cover whatever you're interested in. So subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for the next Mos Eisley Happy Hour.
Do it.